Hello and welcome to another episode of the Timeless Food Travel. This time I'm not going out to eat. Instead, this time I'm going to be staying right here in my own kitchen and making some of my favorite dishes. My own personal blend of buckwheat and my own style of making chop suey. So let's get on with it, shall we? Everyone has their own personal style of preparing food, and over time, I discovered that using more onions means having more flavor that everyone will love. Now, this chop suey mix doesn't have some of the vegetables that I like to use, so I always add some much needed elements to enhance the dish. That being onions, potatoes, and some additional cabbage, which of course is the main ingredient in any chop suey recipe. Sometimes I would also add garlic into the mix, but this time I'm going for a smoother flavor. Right off the bat, you should start with heating up the oil you're going to be using. In my case, I like to use coconut oil, but here I'm finishing up this delicious garlic oil with little chunks of garlic floating inside. So there's that garlic for you. This bottle came bundled together with my favorite bread in the Landmark supermarket. As with everything else here, the amount of each ingredient used is entirely up to your own taste, so I strongly encourage to use creativity to see what combination works best for you. Usually when working with potatoes, you want to start with them first, as they generally take longer to cook than any other ingredient. No need to remove the peel, since that's where a lot of the delicious flavor is trapped. And after cooking, the skin becomes really soft and will surely not get in the way of you enjoying it. It would of course make more sense not to be a savage and bring the chopped up potato on top of the cutting board. I just had too many ingredients bunched up together, that's why I had to do it like this. After chopping it up, drop it into the oil that has by now been preheated, and enjoy the sizzling sound of the cooking process as you make sure that the chunks are completely covered in oil. Just then, I kind of jumped the gun and chopped up the cabbage ahead of time.
Flashback.
This is one of those ingredients that is hard to have too much of because it shrinks a lot during the cooking process, much like the onions do. These hold a ton of moisture, which the whole mix will be swimming in, and that really helps the cooking process being more even, and there's much less of a chance that you'll get it burned. This is one of the reasons why making chop suey in this way is so easy. It's almost foolproof. With me though, I often end up multitasking, so while in the middle of this, I started preparing the water for cooking buckwheat in the rice cooker. The ideal ratio is 3 parts of water to 1 part of buckwheat, and it's best to start boiling water before loading up the rice cooker with the buckwheat. I made a whole video about making buckwheat in a rice cooker on my original channel, The Time-Lapse Traveler, so I hope that you can check it out after you're done with this video. Now that the potato has had a chance to cook by itself for about 6 to 8 minutes, I start adding the main ingredients. Once the 3 cups of water in the rice cooker starts boiling, I add 1 cup of buckwheat in there and a nice splash of oil to help it cook better. From here, you just set it and forget it, almost like you're cooking rice. I'll get back to the minor difference a little later. It's okay to put on onion last, and you shouldn't chop it up well in advance so that the aroma stays locked inside. Also, I have an additional purpose for the onion, as it's also one of the key ingredients in the other dish that I'm preparing. The first onion is mega large, so I'm putting in only most of it into the chop suey mix, while the rest of it goes into the preheated frying pan. By the way, I always cook everything on medium heat using this ceramic stove, so it really takes a lot of guesswork out of the process. Once all the main ingredients are in, top it up with another splash of oil and add some salt according to taste, but careful not to overdo it. Mix it all up nicely and let the stove do its thing for the next 15 or so minutes. I have a habit of coming back regularly to whatever I might be cooking on the stove and mixing it up some more. But for the chop suey, I don't think it's strictly necessary. After the onion has been crackling in the hot oil for about 5 minutes, it's time to crack open a couple of eggs with a knife over the pan and let them drop into the sizzling onion before scrambling it all together and have it cover the surface of the pan as evenly as you can. Add a dash of salt according to taste. The egg doesn't really have to take more than a minute or two to cook once you've scrambled it with the onion. Now here is the small difference in how buckwheat is cooked from how you would make rice. You need to watch out for the water evaporating, and when you see that there is no more water visible, like it is here, then that's when you should manually switch off the rice cooker. Otherwise, some of the buckwheat in the bottom of the pot will get stuck. Add a dash of salt according to taste, so in this way, you have to be just a little more careful than you would be when making rice. Then just holla and mix it all together and you're good to go. By now, the chop suey mix is also finished cooking. As I mentioned before, it's hard to ruin the dish by overcooking, just by oversalting. So just go according to your own preference of how soft you want the vegetables to be. The longer you cook them, the softer they will get. A downside of keeping it cooking longer is just how much it shrinks inside the pot. I mean, just look at how little is left now, compared to when you started. The only thing to do now is to serve it and enjoy. And so this is the result that I have. Wonderful dish right here. Smells awesome. Also doesn't hurt to add a little bit of black pepper here, or a lot did. I happen to like black pepper a lot. I'm a big fan. But as with everything else, it's all according to taste. Really healthy as well. Healthy and delicious dish. Love it. Very satisfying, very filling. Not much protein over here, that's why I got the egg. I love this chop suey mix. The potato really adds a lot actually. Not something you would normally find in chop suey, but in here, it works really well. So I hope you like this little cooking video. There are going to be more coming out later, especially if you leave me comments about it in the comment section. So if you did like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and always keep looking out for more fun and exciting videos coming at you from Timeless Food Travels.